can. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, David and Sarah for that great talk, as well as Adam. Thank you too. It's an honor to be here. This is my first time presenting at the San Diego Python user group, so wish me luck here. Hopefully, you'll have me back, but we'll see about that. Thanks, Diane, for kind of working with me and arranging this with me, and David, of course, you're our fearless leader, week in, week or month out, year in, year out. I was inspired last month. We had Ido giving us a talk on open source, and Nicolaj on the Docker stuff, and Hobson doing some, as always, wonderful AI and machine learning stuff. And so I've been inspired from presenters from months and years gone by. So time to contribute myself. And this is serious too. Let me tell you a real story. I went to the JavaScript user group meeting like a couple of weeks ago, and it started and they said, nobody signed up to speak, meeting over. So David, you are right that the speakers need to contribute. So I'm finally doing my part. So long overdue. But anyway, so my topic tonight is going to talk about the Python Flask. I'm going to show how to deploy it specifically to a DigitalOcean server. I'm going to be talking about HTTPS and TLS certs. I'm going to solve a real world problem. Initially when I signed up to do this, I was thinking I'll do a simple hello world. And then I thought, you know what, I actually do have a use case where this could come in handy. Let me go ahead and present that. And these cat images are going to play into that in a minute. Several topics I'm not going to cover in here, including automated testing. So even though I have the great book, I have no tests in here, and shame on me, but Sarah, thank you. Hopefully you'll set me on the right track there. Next time I'll come back with some real tests. What you're going to see here is there's no custom configuration. It's a very bespoke Python Flask app. And we're going to see how it would benefit by being customizable. That's for another time. And then I'm just going to deploy the code, raw from GitHub by cloning it. But lately, I've been deploying via Docker containers, and I think ideally that's probably where I will go. I'm not going to show that tonight, nor am I going to talk about other ISPs. I also have accounts at Linode and AWS, but I like DigitalOcean. I like their tutorials, so that's why I'm going here. And again, I hope this is the first in a series of tutorials, because as I did it, I could go, oh my gosh, I could talk for a half hour about this or that or the other thing. So hopefully I'll have content to share upcoming. So the slides and the recording. Okay, slides are available online on my GitHub repo. Let's see here. So I'm at github.com/Dan-King. I've got a repo that I created today called presentations. I haven't presented at JavaScript user group, but I have presented at the iOS user group. First time here, first time actually getting my slides up on GitHub. So this list might expand, but for now, these slides are here. And of course, the recordings, as David mentioned, if you go to San Diego Python, you can click the YouTube, and presumably before too long, the slides that were recorded tonight will be up there. So that's where you find the recordings. And then what else? Okay, presentation overview. Okay, yeah, I'm going to show a real world scenario, and I'm going to actually attempt to deploy to the cloud. I'm going to keep an eye on the time. I don't want to bore you with everything, but I'm actually going to do a real live deployment. So wish me luck on that, because God knows what can happen. Okay, here's the story. Here's the whole backstory. Okay, spring break 1982. So I'm in 7th grade. The Texas Instrument, the TI 99-4A. They were practically giving them away. It was $99. And we went to our local kind of multi-purpose convenience store. It was kind of the Walmart of the day. It wasn't a Walmart. But the guy gave me a demo of this language called BASIC. And it went like this. Back then, you had to number your lines. So line 10 for I equals 1 to 20. Line 20, print I. Line 30, next I. And that was the program. And then he ran it. And then it spit out the numbers 1 through 20. And I saw that, and I thought that was just magical. And immediately I said to him, I said, can I change that 20 to 100 and it'll print out to 100? And he goes, yes. And I was like, I was sold on computer programming. This is what I wanted to do with my life. And be careful what you wish for, because I'm here, it's 90 degrees out here in my garage. I've been coding all day, and that's what I do for a living, but it's all good. It's all good. Okay, so fast forward 38 years to COVID, spring break of 2020. Got a daughter in 6th grade. And so the school said, okay, this COVID thing, we've got to lock down for 3 weeks. then we'll come back in April. And I'm like, oh my God, 3 weeks. What are we going to do? Lock down together. And I thought, oh, I know, I'm going to teach my daughter coding. I was about the same age she was. I'll introduce her to that loop and see, will she get that spark? And like, it was less than an hour before we both realized that coding was just not her thing. And I was a little bit disappointed, but it's like, it's your thing or it's not, and so there you go. But then I was doing some iOS development tutorials, which I kind of do in my spare time. And I came across the notion of sticker packs. And I didn't know about this, but in on your iPhone, if you have an iPhone, when you're texting a message, there's a little bar down at the bottom where you can add icons and stuff like that. Well, there's actually a whole developer ecosystem where you can actually create your own set of sticker packs and deploy it. And the beauty of the sticker packs is that you actually don't need to write any code. You just create your stickers, you drag them, drop them into Xcode and export it. And you actually have a full functioning working application with no lines of code. So I went back to my daughter and said, hey, how about this? You don't have to write any lines of code. Just use your creativity and we'll create some stickers. And I said, and you can put it in the store and sell them, for $1 and make some money. And my daughter is very artistic and she loves the notion. She loved the notion of passive income. I'll tell you that. And so she jumped on that. And so we went out and did our first couple sticker packs. I Love San Diego was one of them. We took just a bunch of our family pictures and created some stickers and created a sticker pack, put it up there for $1. And we don't make but single digits every month, but we celebrate. When we make $1, it's like, hey, that 80 cents is ours. And I said to her, like, we didn't have to do anything. That's the beauty of the passive income. We did the work back in 2020, and like even this month, we make $1. We didn't have to do anything. So she was very thrilled about that, and we've done a bunch of these. Okay, so that's the backstory. Okay, and you can see where I'm going with the cat pictures. Okay, but here's the question: like, this is all great, passive income and motivating my daughter to code and iOS and sticker packs. What's Python got to do with it? Okay, Python actually plays a big part in it because part of the requirements for deploying an Apple app, whether it's a sticker pack or an app, is that you have to publish a privacy page, you have to publish a support page, and you've got to publish a product details page. So for example, here in my, if I can, let's see, get that out of the way. So here is a published app. This is our most recent one, the I Love Dogs sticker pack. And so this is App Store Connect. I don't know if you can see that. Let me zoom in a little bit. But right here on the page where I submit it, I've got to give them a support URL. I got to give them a marketing URL. And I kind of generally hack these things together. They're quasi customized, but not. And I've got a Node.js app that's kind of half working and half not. And I thought, I ought to just port the whole thing to a Python, make it configurable. And that way, when we do new sticker packs, because we've done a bunch of them, I just have to update some configuration files. Okay, so with that, let's talk about said app. So I implemented something like that just recently, and it's really rough around the edges. It's not really production ready in terms of presentation wise, but it's good enough. It's good enough. It's a Python Flask app. The front end's got jQuery and Bootstrap and data tables. On the back end, it's running on a DigitalOcean droplet with Ubuntu and Nginx. I'm going to show you how to get a free domain name tonight. Fingers crossed that the gods will smile on us and that'll work. And then we'll encrypt it with Let's Encrypt for free. And then we'll have a fully working website. Okay, so let me just show you what the app looks like real quick. So I have a Python app. Oh yeah, and by the way, the code repo is also there, and there's a link there. If you could go to Dan King, you'll see it up at the top. It's called iOS Sticker Pack Website Template. So all the code we're going to see is very simple. And again, my talk tonight is about how to deploy a Python Flask app. It's not about what goes into a Python Flask web app. Maybe next time I'll talk about the actual ins and outs of it, because there's probably not enough time. But suffice it to say, it's a real basic Python Flask app. And it's got 3 pages. It's got a product page, privacy page, and a support page. Support page just wants my phone number and my email, and again, rough around the edges. For what it's worth, I'll just show you the code. I did intentionally present the content. I got some ways towards I don't have my VS Code up, some configuration. So this is all in the JSON file. which in theory could be customized. I have a privacy page, which is in a markdown file, and I have my JSON and my markdown in a static folder, so they can be customized. At the moment, it's not, but there's a privacy policy. And then our product page, and specifically with the product page, again, we're going to be doing a sticker pack called "I Love Cats." You know, after we did San Diego, we ran out of pictures, but I learned that you can actually use Creative Commons if they're licensed accordingly, if you give attribution and if you re-release the changed version. You know, so my daughter, she takes these images and then runs them through her own software and adds some bling to them. As long as we re-release those images under the same license or newer, you know, we're allowed to do that. And so, but part of that, so part of my publishing, when I publish the app, I give a link in the product description to the product page. And if you go to I Love Dog sticker packs, you'll see at the very bottom there that these images are licensed under Creative Commons, blah, 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 go here. So this is where I'm going to be sending people to see all the images of the cats that we have used and relicensed under the various Creative Commons licenses. Okay, and that's it. That's the extent of the web app. Again, the front end here, this is Bootstrap. The table here is a JavaScript tool called data tables, which is kind of slick. And then I'm using Python to dynamically serve those static files, which again, in a future presentation, maybe I'll talk about how to customize that. Okay, back to the presentation here. Okay, so our stack, yeah, there we go. Okay, so here's our deployment steps. We're going to create a DigitalOcean droplet. We're going to clone the repo. We're going to configure Nginx. We're going to go get our free domain, and we're going to use Let's Encrypt to make it secure. And hopefully, fingers crossed, you know, we'll have a good secure URL that we can then go back to Apple with and say, here are the actual URLs for our I Love Cats sticker pack. Okay, so I've broken the steps down into a series of cheat sheets. So if you're interested in what I'm about to show you, you can go to the repo and look at all the steps. So we're gonna, just briefly, we're gonna create a new droplet. We're gonna do some initial server setup. We're gonna do firewall stuff. We're going to clone the project and install all the requirements. We're going to configure Nginx some more. We're going to configure a web service gateway interface because we're going onto a production server. We're going to enable the system daemon, and we're going to register the new domain, and then we're going to come back and secure that new domain with Let's Encrypt, hopefully in under a half an hour. So if things go well, we'll have some success. And if not, we won't. But suffice to say, I'm now going to switch to a cheat sheet. And everything you see me copying and pasting the cheat sheet is basically these 9 steps here. But for the sake of speed, I just put everything in one cheat sheet so that it goes quicker. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to keep an eye on the time. If things go pear-shaped, I won't keep you hours for hours. It's 7:53. Let's see if we can be done, you know, in a half an hour. So with that, let's head over to DigitalOcean and create our new droplet. Out of the way. Okay. Okay, so here I've logged into my DigitalOcean account. I want to go. Oh, I want a new droplet. That's what I want to do. A new create a new drop. A droplet is the DigitalOcean term for a server, a VM. And I'm going to bring my cheat sheet up over here. So we're going to do an Ubuntu. We're going to do the basic plan. We're just going to do a regular Intel with SSD. It'll run us $5 a month. We'll put it in the San Francisco data center. I'm going to use my public key for authentication to make life easy. We're going to call this I Love Cats 5. That's what we're going to call the server. Can you read that? Is that text legible, or do you want it a little bit bigger? In both cases.
You're all right.
Okay. And then we're going to create the droplet. And then that's going to just spin for a couple of minutes there. I like DigitalOcean. It's not as cheap as Amazon. Like, it's September 23rd, and I spent $24. So I spend about $1 a day. And you can see I've got a whole bunch of servers here. I've got a friend at Amazon who says, oh, if you spend more than $5 a month, you're spending way too much. But for the moment, I can afford $1 a day for my R&D stuff. Okay, and then so that's going to give us an IP address here in a moment. And in fact, I can queue up the cheat sheet here because we're going to be doing some SSHing into that server. And I'm going to replace all these currents. Oh yeah, there's our new IP address. Okay, so this is the IP address in the old cheat sheet, and here is our new IP address. So let's just replace all. Okay. So first thing we got to do is go into our server. So let's bring up our terminal window here. So I'm using my SSH key to get in. So we're now at the command line on DigitalOcean. This is our new Ubuntu server. And typically I do an app update and an upgrade. That takes a couple minutes. So I'm going to skip that step for the sake of brevity. But one thing I am going to do is I'm going to edit this config file here and add these two values to keep our session alive. Because what happens by default, the session, if I don't touch it for a couple of minutes, the session freezes. I can't just Control C and then I got to wait for it to a couple of minutes for it to kill. It is really frustrating, and we don't want to put up with that. Okay, and then I'm going to create an account for myself. Okay, we'll just take all the defaults there, and then I'm going to give myself admin permission. Myself the root, and I'm just going to reboot real quick. They reboot really fast. I got to reboot for that configuration file to take place, and maybe I don't have to reboot, but that's how I do it. And then next up, I'm gonna go into set up the firewall in Nginx, but I'm going to log in as myself. This new account that I created called Dan. Let me just try it right away. Let's see here. There's not much on the server, so it. There we are. There we are. Okay. I'm just going to do some admin stuff here. We're going to enable the firewall. Again, it's a brand new server. Yes, we'll interrupt the current users with that. We're going to install Nginx as our web server and gateway. We're going to allow Nginx through the firewall. There we are. Not sure why that progress there is at the bottom. That's annoying. We'll roll with it anyway. And now we're going to install some supporting packages, including the virtual environment for Python, which we're going to use here in a minute. pip3 as well, some other stuff. And while it's running, I'll caveat here. So some of the stuff, some of the like the system daemon stuff, I got from a DigitalOcean tutorial. You know, some of it I'm just following commands. I'm not an expert at it, so if it sounds like I don't know what I'm talking about, that's probably accurate. But fingers crossed we'll get through this. Okay, and then once this finishes, the next step will be to clone that project from our GitHub repo. And again, that's here over in GitHub. So this is the URL there for our project. Okay, good, got the command line back. All right, so let's make sure we're in our home directory. Nothing here yet. Again, brand new account. Let's go ahead and clone the project. It's a public project, so it didn't need authentication. And then, so let's go ahead and change the directory. Okay, there's our file structure, matching exactly what we have in GitHub. Okay, so let's first install a virtual environment, pip. And now that's installed, we can create our virtual environment with v, e, and v. We'll call v, e, and v. And now we're going to activate it. You know, and because we're on a dedicated server, I don't necessarily have to create a virtual environment, but I like them so much for my own work that I'm in the practice of creating them, even if I'm on a server where the server is dedicated to the one item. There is a requirements file that we will then install everything into our virtual environment. And in addition to these steps here in the cheat sheet, the README file in the project has some of the steps here as well. And then last, we want to copy, at the moment, we don't have a .env file. And that's not part of the repo, but I do provide some sample env files. I just catted all of them out, one for staging, development, production. We're in production here. Whoops, let's not do that again. Let's copy our production into .env, and now let's look at our .env file. And that just tells us our the environment that we're in, that debugging is off, what port we're going to run in. And let's just test it. Let's see if we can actually get something from Python. Okay. And so this is good. This is a Flask app running. Now, again, at the moment, it's using the built-in web server. So it's saying this is a development server. Do not use it in production. So we're gonna heed that warning. And then just for fun, let's see what happens when we browse to the URL. I'm going to use Firefox for this demo because I have Firefox as the browser I have set up to kill cookies in session every time. And there's nothing there yet except for the Nginx welcome screen. That's what we expect. We did install Nginx. We allowed it through the firewall, but no sign of our Python app yet, which is what we want. Okay, but there were no errors, so that's a good sign. So let's kill that. Let's, instead of using the built-in, we want to use a web service gateway interface called Gunicorn, or G-Unicorn, short for G-Unicorn, which is a Python flavor of Unicorn, which is another gateway. And so when we run that, that's fine. For what it's worth, in the repo, there is a web service gateway file that just basically, I have an index file where the app is defined. And so it basically just says from index import app and then run the app. That's all it's doing. Real simple. And what we want to do though, hang on, I skipped a step. I totally skipped a step. Oh my gosh. Let's come back here. We want to see our site running on that web page that I just showed you, where we saw the welcome. And so to that, we need to configure Nginx. Okay. So I go to Nginx sites available. I make a copy of the file, the default file. This is the default configuration file. Let's go ahead here and edit it. And we're going to get rid of everything. And I'm just going to copy and paste this real simple Nginx configuration. Basically what it's doing is telling us to pass all traffic. Let's listen on port 80, like not secure, we're not there yet. We're going to listen on port 80 and pass everything to port 5001, which is what our Flask application is running on. Why are you beeping at me? Okay. And then let's just check our file for problems. No, it's fine. And let's restart Nginx. And let's go now back to our Nginx. We should get an error. We're not going to even get the welcome to Nginx. It's porting to 5001. Nothing's running on port 5001 yet. So that's good. So let's go back to our project folder. And let's run the Python again, just from the command line without a G-Unicorn. Now we come here. Woohoo, look at that. Here we are. Here's our support page. Here's our privacy page. Here is our product page. And this is the URL of our new droplet. So this is a milestone. And then for what it's worth, the these are all links to the actual copyright and user information of those product owners. But yay, that's progress. But again, I don't want to submit to Apple in my marketing page an IP address, nor do I want it to be not secure. So we're not done yet. So let's close that. Let's kill that. And now let's test our G unicorn binding. And again, we killed it. Let's just double check. Again, I keep closing Firefox to kill the cache. Browse there. Again, bad gateway because nothing's running on that port. So now let's fire up G unicorn on port 5001. That's running. And now let's refresh the page. And yay, it's serving it up again. Here's our product page. Not using the built-in Flask, it's using a more robust web service gateway interface. Okay, that's all well and good, but if I come here and kill that session and log out, and we come back and refresh our page, our site is gone. So that's no good. So now we got to set up a system daemon to do that. And this is some of the stuff where I found a good tutorial on DigitalOcean how to do this. And so I understand it enough to copy and paste it. Let's just put it that way. And basically we're creating a system daemon. Let's see here. In fact, I think it's found it. Yeah, okay. So it found the service, but it's inactive. It's dead because we haven't started it yet. So let's go ahead and start it. We're calling it sticker pack. Let's enable it. And let's check the status now. But oh, there we go. It's active and running. Yay. Okay. So that's active and running. But hang on a minute. Let's double check. Let's come here and refresh. It's not working. Well, that's because we haven't told Nginx about the how we've configured that service. So we've got to come back to Nginx. Let's go back to our folder there. There's our default and there's our first backup. Let's go ahead and make a second backup. And now let's go ahead and edit. And we're going to change this bit here, this simple bit where it does a proxy pass to port 5001. We're going to put these two lines in there. So let's delete that. Paste that. So it's telling us now to port everything through this Unix socket that we just created called stickerpack.sock. Once again, we're going to check our configuration. That looks okay. We're going to restart and we're going to browse here. Yay, and there we are. And the nice thing here is, we can come here to our terminal and leave our session, reboot or whatever, and our site is still up and running. So that's another milestone. Yay. Okay, so far so good. But we're not done yet. Not done yet. We still, even though we're running with a robust web service gateway interface, we can log off and leave it run there. We're still looking at an IP address and it's still not secure. So we want to deal with that. Okay, so I usually use hover for my domain names, but for the sake of testing, I don't want to be spending $10 left and right. I'll spend $1, but we'll have to argue about spending $10. And so for R&D stuff. I recently came across the .tk domain. The .tk is Tokeleu, which is out here in the Pacific way north of New Zealand, and they offer free domain names. Free, okay, not quite free. There's a couple caveats there. So if you go to .tk, you will see their website. And let's see here. Let me go here. Oh yeah, let me just bring up .tk. at the .tk website, free domains for all is their thing, and they go into it, and it's widely used. It's very popular. But when you go to register it, it takes you to another website called freenom.com, where you have to go to register it. And I recommend it for R&D stuff. The user interface here is really poor, and the site is slow to respond sometimes. And here's the other catch: it's free for a year. After a year, they hit you up for money. So I didn't realize that. I thought we had hit the holy grail here with free domains, but it's only free for your first year. But that being said, still a good deal for R&D like this. And so with that, I have an account here with them already. And so let me go to my domains. And you can see I have a one called ilovecats.tk, and I have an ilovecats-2.tk, which I did for testing. So we're going to do a brand new domain name for this project here, for this demo here. And let's go to register a new domain name. And for the purposes of this, we're going to call it I love cats and Python.tk. I bet that's not taken yet. Bet you that's available. Let's see what I click it. Check availability. Woohoo, it's available. All right. Let us select it. Oh, checkout. Okay. It's going. Okay. I'm going to hit. Oh, yeah, here we are. Okay. So here's the period. Okay. So we can have a month free, 2 months free, et cetera, 12 months free. Then after a year, we start paying the usual $9.95, which is kind of standard. So we'll do 12 months. Give us time there to fiddle around with it. Continue. Okay, total due today is 0. It was nice, and it never prompted me for a credit card. So it just has my name and email. I have to verify my email address as usual, but that's it. They're not hitting me up for any money. As you can see, the site is a little slow. It kind of chugs along at its own pace. Okay, there's my order number. I'll have to take a screenshot of that type of thing. Let's go here back to our domains. Here's our domain, I love cats and Python. Okay, we want to manage the domain. And specifically, we want to point the name servers to our DigitalOcean account. Okay, so back to our cheat sheet here. Okay, so we did this, and we've called it I love cats and Python.tk. So the name services for DigitalOcean are NS1, NS2, and NS3. So let's copy and paste those. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. Change the name servers. That's going to spin there for a minute and do its thing. Okay, changes saved successfully. And so now we can come back to our DigitalOcean account and claim this domain. Okay. So back in our DigitalOcean account, we go to the networking tab, and there, down here on the left, the navigation, we navigate to the networking, and then we enter the new domain, I love cats and Python.tk. And then we have to create an A record for it. So we'll just do the @ sign, kind of the wild card. And then we're going to redirect it to our new droplet, which we called I love cats 05. That's our 143.110.225.240. And then we create that A record. Like that. A record created successfully. Okay, so now let's browse to our new site, see what happens. Let's kill Firefox. Start a new Firefox. Oh, look at that. I love cats in Python.tk. Here's our homepage. Here's a privacy policy. Here's our support page. Here's our product page. Yay, we're nearly there, nearly there. So, you know, I'm happy with this. It's not an IP address anymore, but it's still not secure. If we were to browse HTTPS, it's going to say unable to connect. So that's no good. Okay, final step in the process. We're going to secure it with Let's Encrypt, and this is genuinely free, which is nice. Let's go back to our command line prompt. Let's get ourselves up to our Nginx folder. We've got our 2 backups from earlier. Let's go ahead and create our 3rd and final backup, our default configuration. And to do this, we need to install a program called certbot and a Python companion to certbot, just like that. And then if I did everything right, make sure I get the domain right. We're going to run the certbot command and tell it to point the to install a cert for this. Okay. This is Let's Encrypt. So it wants my email address. The Let's Encrypt certs do expire every 3 months or so. So you'll get an email when they're about to expire. Yes, we have to agree with terms and conditions. Do we want to be added to the Electronic Frontier Foundation email list? I usually do. I'm already on there, so I'm going to type no this time. And so now it's doing a challenge to make sure we actually own that domain name based on our configuration there. And then, yay, this is good. So now it's asking us, do we want to, if someone browses their site without the connection, do we want to allow that, or do we want to automatically redirect them to a secure site? I'd like to do the automatic redirect, so I'm going to say option 2. And then we're done. There we are. Okay. And then just for fun, we can do a quick diff of the default and the default letter C. You can see that the certbot went in there and added a whole bunch of, well, yeah, basically it added all the port 443 stuff to our Nginx file. And I don't think we have to restart Nginx. I think it took care of that for us. Pretty sure it did, because this is the last line in the cheat sheet. Let's come back here. Let's open up a new Firefox. Copy, paste, fingers crossed. There we are. Look at that. Here's our product. Here's a privacy page. Here's our support page. And here we have a secure connection. So now I'm at a stage where I can now go back to Apple and say, all right, I've got a new sticker pack. It's called I Love Cats. Here's the support URL. Here's the marketing URL. Here's the privacy URL. And then I continue on with that process there. So mission accomplished. Okay, so that's all well and good. But you know, as I mentioned before, the things like the all these images and the support details and that particular page were hard coded into, let me show you the code there. It's 818, not bad. I think we did it in about a half an hour, which is what our goal was. But see, back in our page here, our code, under content, I've got a support JSON, you know, with my name and email. I've got the privacy policy and markdown there, and the stickers. Again, so these are all hard coded, and then all those cat images that you saw are also part of this GitHub repo. They are under static images. They are all here. And so that's, you know, that's well and good for this application, but you know, we're on our 8th, 9th sticker pack, and we kind of like to churn them out once a month. And so, you know, next time what I would like to do is, like, I'd come back and I'd like to show you how we take this Python application. And again, you know, we didn't need a Python Flask application. We could have done that whole deployment in static HTML files, you know. But the beauty of like whether it's Node.js or Python, is that you can start building some custom configuration. And so with that same source code repo, we have an admin page where we can upload, you know, our configuration files. You know, we can be done with it very, very quickly. And then the other thing that I'd like to show maybe next time is how to deploy all this in a Docker container, possibly possibly in AWS or Linode. And then, of course, this time next month, I would hope that I Love Cats sticker pack is a published app in the Apple App Store, and you can go in and send some I Love Cats sticker packs to your friends and loved ones. Okay, so in conclusion, my daughter and I have done a bunch of sticker packs since spring break of 2020. We did I Love LA, I Love San Francisco. We did a Black Lives Matter. Our most recent one was I Love Dogs, and now we're doing I Love Cats. You know, the sky's the limit, really. And again, each of these I kind of hacked together its own support page. And so the I Love Cats will be our first time deploying a standalone website, you know, dedicated to that sticker pack app using the Python Flask deployment. And so with that, oh yeah, so another thing that's important too. Okay, so since doing that sticker pack with my app, I got it in my head that I should do an online course, and so I'm constructing a course, an online course. It's kind of I'm thinking of doing it like a no-code course, because you can take your sticker packs, you can take your website deployment and go from start to finish, have a full working app and website without writing any line of code. And so I created the 7 milestone roadmap. And this milestone 5 is everything we saw tonight, is create that product website. And you have to have a product website to deploy to the App Store. And so again, that's where Python comes into this. So just to finish up again, the slides are there on my GitHub page, dan-king/presentations. You can find the recording at sandiegopython.org. Again, the code's on GitHub. If you want to see some of the other sticker packs, my kind of business website, vptech.io, has a page dedicated to them. I've got the roadmap, the kind of the initial first steps of the course that I was talking about out on a site called Thinkific. And if you're curious about what that course might look like, go ahead and check out that, and you can download the PDF there. And I have a little free video where I kind of go over each of those 7 steps, if that's your thing. And then lastly, here are my contact details if you have any question or want to follow me at Twitter. And I want to say thank you for listening. Any questions?